Go, go, go the other way. Thank you. Ah, wonderful. Welcome to Celebrate Life. Me on Reggae to Reggae. And today it is Wednesday when we are going through the third rule of celebrating your life. So as we start, can we go through rule number 1, 2, 3, and 4 so that you have a background and a framework for how we are going to proceed. First of all, rule number 1, know where you're going. You must have your goals and your objectives set out. 2, know your driver. Know the principles and the person who is going to steer your operation, who is going to carry you along and give you direction, and not just direction, but it's going to give you, empower you with what you need to be able to celebrate this journey. Rule number 3 is where we are starting today, and that is pay as you enter. Because pay as you enter, which is on Wednesday and Thursday, is what is my contribution to the journey. And then after that, we have the last part, which is enjoy the ride. So we need to understand that if you want to celebrate life every moment of every day, you've got to know the ground rules. And once you know the ground rules, then you're gone clear. That means you won't have any obstacles in the way, because when the obstacles come, as they will, you will know exactly how to kick them out of the way and move ahead. Wonderful. So today it's pay as you enter. Remember, number 1 was know where you're going. Number 2, know your driver. Number 3, pay as you enter. And number 4, celebrate the ride. So today and the whole of this week, we are looking at psychological health. And we are doing it from the point of view of the things that impact my psychological health and how I got through, over, under, and around. And I hope that you can take some of what I did to get through, around, up, under, and endure and celebrate life to use in your own situations. Remember, don't take anything I say hook, line, and sinker. Why? Because we are all individuals. We were all created as masterpieces, unique, and absolutely there is no one like me, nor there is no one like you, because you are a special masterpiece created for the purpose of being the solution to some of the challenges that face us at this time, in this season. And so we need to understand that you are the best thing created to advance your own development, the development of your family, the development of your community, the development of your nation, and the development of the whole wide world. Every single person who is not just created, but every single thing that is created is their purpose and for eternity. And nobody else can take your space. So this is why you have to learn to develop everything that has been deposited in you. And you can enjoy it while you go along. You know, when we were doing physical health last week, we spoke about the fact that the good things in life are supposed to taste better than the bad things, right? And we have it back to front. Let me tell you something. What's good for me is absolutely the most delicious food, because you have to learn how to make it delicious. Why on earth would you want to sit back and decide that I don't think that this needs to be delicious? You remember we spoke about salt and sugar and oil and seasonings, and the fact that those are the 4 addictions that people have, and that they are good oils, good sugars, good. Wow, I don't want to go into that because you have to go back to that show and watch the whole of last week if you want to know how to come into perfect physical health and how to live in divine health. So, today we are doing Pay As You Enter, your contribution to coming into absolute psychological health and enjoying. Yesterday we spoke about what is psychological health. It has to do with your emotions and it has to do with your relationships. And the emotions are the things that you have with yourself. The relationships are the interactions that you have with others. And as usual, we always have to start with ourselves. If we are going to repair anything out there, we can't do it until we repair ourselves, right? You remember, we can't go there and say, oops, there's a speck in your eye when there's a big old log in my eye. How am I going to even see the speck in the other person's eye if I don't deal with the log that is in my eye? So we always start with ourselves. Whether it is to correct things or to reward ourselves for what we have done. So remember, I used to hear a wrong acronym called JOY. It used to be, I heard it at some church or the other. It says, Jesus first, others next, and yourself last. I don't know where that comes from because it is not in this book. And that is my operations manual. Everything must be checked out in here. And this is the manufacturer's manual. The manufacturer who made me and knows exactly how I work well. And once you patch into that, then you will always have the correct solution every time, every single time. So remember, we're going to look at one of the number 1 rules. Sometimes you think of, why have so much rules and regulations, so much laws to obey, and so much. You get confused. And I did get confused for a few years because I had gone into studying the Jewish Book of Why. And this book has hundreds, thousands, in fact, of rules and regulations as to why you need to obey every single law in the whole first 5 books of the Bible. Talk about overwhelm. Talk about information. When I got frustrated, and every time I get frustrated, I just say, oh my Creator, you did not make me to be frustrated. You got to give me some clarity here. You said you would lead me into all truth. Show me the truth. And he answered that question right here in the book. When his disciples and his followers said, what is the best law? Or what is the most important law? And he says, number 1 law. Naturally, if it's number 1, that must be important. It's the priority, it's the best one, it's the top. Right. And it says, you must love your Creator with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And you must love your neighbor as yourself. But he said, the second is as important as it. But guess what? Don't want to concentrate on that. Just concentrate on number 1. And that is how all the fog and the confusion left my mind and my spirit and everything. And from then on, I don't pay attention to any other rule but number 1. Love God with everything, all the passion that you can get, all your mind, that is your imagination, right? And all the strength, that is your vigor and your vitality, and all of your spirit. And you know what that is? Your repose and rest. I bet you didn't know that. You think that the spirit part is when you read the Bible or when you go to church. Your spirit is operating the way your spirit was made to operate. When you just chill and don't stress nothing, Don't stress the small stuff, because it is when you stress the small stuff that your spirit get ruffled. And in fact, when I was studying psychology, I was told that stress, eustress and distress and all sorts of stressors and blah, 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 that it was a psychological condition. But after I look at it over and over, anything I study in a book, I carry through this manual and I go through the manual and I say, man, let me see now. Does it agree with it? If it doesn't agree with it, chop, outside, throw it out. And when I researched, I found out that stress was not a psychological issue. It was a spiritual issue. Why? Because I am a spirit. I have a soul and I live in a body. But guess what? I cannot be stressed unless my spirit is out of sync with the spirit of the Creator that was put into me. Not only that, the spirit that was put into me initially when I was just a little itsy baby. This is before I was born, when I was inside my mother's womb. In fact, the spirit was put in there before the foundations of the earth. That's the son of confusing. But anyway, way back when is when the spirit was put into me. And that spirit was a perfect spirit. Why? Because it was a part of God's spirit. And so when He breathed that spirit into me, I now have encapsulated everything that He is. And it is during this lifetime that I now have the opportunity of coming into being and bringing into being all of those characteristics. And that is why one of the most important things is that characteristic of speaking into being. The fact that words have creative force, and every word you speak creates something. Sometimes it plants a seed, sometimes it waters a plant, and sometimes it bears a fruit. But there is process, and that's what we are going through today. What is the process of getting from the beginning to the reaping, from the planting to the reaping? That's why today we are doing pay as you enter, because it is only as you pay at the beginning that you are going to be able to reap a whole heap at the end. Right. So, back to this whole issue of what is my spirit. That spirit is really God's spirit, the creative force that has been breathed into me, that I became a living soul. And the soul era, which is what we're doing this week, all this week, is the area that talks about our emotions and our relationships. How do we get it together? And as usual, I tell you how I work. I get into this little operations manual and I go around and I pick out a little piece here, a little piece here, and I put them all together and put them right division, make it clear, write it down in a little book. And that's what you need to do. You need to take from this program the principles that work. How I work it is neither here nor there. That's my thing. And I'm here to tell you, yours is going to be different. But if you use the same principles, you will come out smelling like a rose, like I smell like a rose. So, today we are looking at how to adjust your emotions and relationships by adjusting your thoughts. Wow! How to adjust your emotions and your relationships by adjusting your thoughts. Remember, that all relationships and emotions are either toxic, that means they are poisonous, or they are therapeutic, which means that they help to make you become better in terms of being healed. It's the issue of being well, the whole thing of shalom, the issue of sozo. That's another word from out of the Hebrew. But what it really means is that, you are well, everything is just coming together, all the different parts fit together like a jigsaw puzzle to give you a wonderful, beautiful picture. And that is what we need to strive towards. And the other one is, of course, my favorite one, shalom. Everything in perfect upright order. Nothing broken and nothing missing. That's how I try to live every day of my life. And I'm telling you, I drop down several times a day. Guess what? I know how to get back up immediately and to use the principles in this book. So, adjusting your emotions and relationships by adjusting your thoughts. And yesterday, no, not yesterday, day before, I was this fabulous seminar on how to deal with happiness. And yesterday, now, I went to another one that was talking about all these sort of dysfunctionalities. Right. And it's talking about divisions. And you know what those were? It is like divisions in the spirit. Once you have divisions and strife, it only divides, as the word suggests, and break you up. For instance, if you think of yourself and you divide yourself and put a piece over there and a piece over there, you know what happens? Neither piece can function properly. So we have got to remain whole. And that's a part of the whole issue of wholeness. That the only way you can really embrace wholeness is to decide that you are going to be whole by just having one focus, one orientation, one attitude, one altitude, and it's one, the number one. The number one. Yes, I'm getting a download. It's the number one law that says you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, your strength. And you see, the use of that word, Lord your God, is so important. Why? Because Lord means the person is in total control of you. Master, when that person say jump, you say Hawaii immediately, right? And Lord, your God. No, come the God part. No, come in. We're talking about yesterday about the El Shaddai and the one who is the many-breasted God and the one who has all the abilities. And you just have to sort of file through all the different breasts that hanging down and suck on to the one that you need. And you just use that one. Ah, easy. And it's just a matter of doing it. But guess what? How do the thoughts have to come with it? You have to start by adjusting your thoughts. Now, guess what? You can determine what comes into your mind. Because your mind is activated by your senses, right? I wanted to share this story that was shared with us, an illustration at the same seminar I went to, done by CLI, Choose Life International. And it was Mrs. Faith Thomas, one of the directors, who was sharing. She says, suppose you got a text from your significant other, your husband or your bullnose or what, and it says something like, honey, I just want to tell you that whatever happens, I love you. And that's the end of the text. And you know that is the bullnose said it. Alright? Okay. How are you going to respond to this? One lady says, well, my dear, the first thing I'm going to think is, what is coming up next? No matter what. That means that if I either plan to leave me, or I plan to drop on me some sort of information that I can't take some sort of a buttering me up first. Another lady said, what? If I got a text like this, what I would say is, wow, honey, I love you too, whatever happens, no matter what. And I will return the same thing to her. And so, we just carry that whole thing forward. The person who said, I wonder what is happening. Their thoughts are going in another direction from the person who says, "Oh, I love you too," and their thoughts are going in another direction. Or let's look at the one who says, um, that this is a downward spiral for my thoughts. That person is thinking, "Oh my goodness, I better get prepared for the worst. I don't know what sort of information this is going to be. I don't know what is going to happen, but I know that I don't like the sound of it." And so they start worrying and fretting. I wonder if he's going to leave me. How am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to send the children to school? Who is going to do this? Who is going to do that? And the thoughts take that process. The other person who is thinking, "Wow, this evening is going to be a good time, so I better just stop and get a new negligee at the pharmacy and make sure that everything is in perfect upright order over, so that when I get home, we can both share this wonderful expression." That is a totally different response to the same message. So it is the thoughts that direct what is going to happen, how you think about it. Well, you know what happens when you think those thoughts of fear about what is going to happen? My dear, the physical realm tripping and your body start to put out more adrenaline, but more serotonin, and all of a sudden your chemicals in your body are no longer healthy chemicals. They now become poisons, and your system will break out in a rash. Then your nose start to run, your eyes start to water, and all of a sudden you find that you're breathing hard. You're going up to an asthma attack. Do you see how your thoughts control everything else? Because first I thought, when it starts to take direction, it now becomes an emotion or a feeling. And that a feeling is going to determine the bodily responses that take place in your actual physical being. Because you know now everything is changing. Not only are those physical responses, your heart going to beat more, your breathing becomes faster, all sorts of chemicals are going to be put out into your chemicals. And remember, we spoke about the chemicals in your body are your neurotransmitters. And as your neurotransmitters, those are the things that are going to determine how you think, how your body responds spontaneously now, because you have already changed the chemical balance. And here it is. We have a situation that you can no longer control. It is going to determine what you say, and what you say is going to have creative force, and that is going to now determine your choices and decisions, and therefore your actions. One person is going to rush home and all nervous about what may happen. The other person is going to stop on the pharmacy and pick up a negligee to go home to have a wonderful time. And so we need to understand how our thoughts program the rest. So I am here to say that my producer forgot my 15-minute break. So now we have to take a break because it is time. We're halfway through the program already, and it is time to take a program break. So see you back in 2 shakes of a duck's tail. But guess what? I am going to keep talking until he has the advertisement, put in place, right? Are we not going to take a break, sir? No break. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So we can keep going on this thing. So who you want to follow it? Well, maybe one smart person into the class came up and said, then wait, suppose you react and go buy the negligee when you get home. Is really the other thing coming and facing you. I said, guess what? You are ahead of the game. Because if you went home and got the negligee and it was really a message that he is planning to leave you, you are on top of it. Because guess what? You have not impaired your capabilities by putting all of that stress on yourself. Now, you go home with a negligee and your husband decides they're going to leave you. You're ready? Because guess what? You can just fold up the negligee and say, guess what? I am all prepared for whatever comes. So let me fold it up, put it in this box until him gets ready. Because I am not going to let this thing put me down. I am now prepared because I have all my other hormones, like my endorphins and all those things, have been put out into my system. And those hormones that are put out because of my positive reaction is going to mean that I will not be depressed, but I will now be in a position where I can deal with anything. And then we came on to the other thing, that somebody says, now that they are not cooperating in the relationship, how can you move forward? Well, I am here to bring you my next concept. It is called bird can fly upon one wing. There's a saying in Jamaica that says, birds can't fly with one wing. Because how you going to flap one wing? That means you're going to go down and you won't be able to stay afloat. Well, guess what this book says? It says that birds can fly with one wing. How? Because, you see, as soon as you lose the other wing, you just take the one flap and flap yourself on top of the eagle. And you just sit down on top of the eagle. And then that eagle, once you choose to go and sit down on top of the eagle is going to take you up. And so whether you are flapping the wing or you're not flapping the wing, you just rest while the eagle takes you up. And you soar on wings as eagles. If you're on the ground, you run and you don't float. You walk and you never get tired. That is why you have to know what is in the book and how you need to react when crisis comes. Because guess what? Crisis come every day. And so that is how you need to learn to count it all joy when you fall into problems and stress and struggle. Because when you fall into those things, you know that it's going to be developing a new capability that you did not have before. And so you will know exactly how to deal with it. The way to deal with it is that anytime stress comes, you just put all of the problem on the back of the eagle and let the eagle carry you up, up, up and away. And after that, you will be now given little by little the capabilities that you need to deal with this. Remember we spoke about that man who was pushing against that boulder and he never moved the boulder. But the process of pushing against the boulder developed every muscle in the body. And so he was now prepared to move anything, anything. And that is where we need to go. But remember, we're on a journey, you know. We never will reach perfection. But we need to enjoy the journey, celebrate life. That's what we're talking about down the road. But as we go step by step, you can enjoy every part of the journey. So here we have this situation now where you're soaring up and you're on top of this eagle and you're now getting your plans back together now. All right, what's my next step? How am I going to proceed here? But you're doing it from a position of repose, where you can just kick back and say, no, let me just start looking at this operations manual and see which item on the troubleshooting page am I going to engage to deal with this little hiccup, because that is all it is, a hiccup. But if you decide that you are going to turn the hiccup into a major event by responding and reacting incorrectly to it, then that is your choice. That is your choice. One of the things that always faced me when I was a little child, I used to go to church. My father was an elder. So when church door opened, I was always there, the whole family, right? And I remember that I used to hear, go to testimony meeting, I used to hear people say, well, you know, this God did this for me, and I got over this, and I got over this, and I got over this. But this life is hard. You know, the journey is terrible. That is when, at age 5, I decided that I don't want anything to do with this journey with hard, because I am not planning to go that route. I will have plenty of everything, and I am going to be successful every moment of my life. And then I said, God, why you make life so hard? And he says, you know what came up into my mind? I was fine. And because I had been hearing the Bible morning, noon, and night, and every time I came to church, I remember something about a yoke. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. And I said, but if you have planned a way for me, and you say your way is easy and the burden for you is light, how can I be a part of that? Because if you say that when I take your way, it is going to be easy and light, why is it everybody going up there and talking about it hard? You pray for me as I pray for you. I said that don't sound consistent with what I say in this operations manual. And guess what? I got a picture. I do a lot of things in picture. And I draw a lot of things. I have no training as an artist, but I got this picture of an elephant and a moose moose. You know what an elephant is? Everybody knows what an elephant is. Big, like a hippopotamus or those big creatures. And for those who are into dinosaurs, it's big like a dinosaur, but it's fatter, right? Anyway, I got a picture of an elephant and a moose moose. Now, for those of you who don't know what a moose moose is, it's a little teeny weeny mouse. And those are the ones that run around your house. So you have to make sure you don't keep no food in your house in the night. Wash up everything, and if you're too tired to wash up everything, just fill up a big basin or a big pan or fill up one side of the sink and you just put a little soap in there and push everything underneath it. You're gone clear. So if you don't have time to wash up, that's the way to go. So the elephant and the moose moose. And I'm going to tell you the story about that. When I used to listen to those sermons, they used to say that the yoke is a piece of wooden thing that you put over the two animals. And it fit them perfectly. It is just their size. So you don't rub on here and rub on there. You put it over two oxen. And then the man who is plowing have this long thing that stick down into the earth. When we're doing agriculture, we'll talk about that some more. But it stick down into the earth, and what you do is push it down and it dig up the soil. But the two oxen that are carrying the plow don't have anything rubbing on them. The plow is, the weight is equally distributed between both of them, so that both of them are pulling what has been fitted for them. So I said, how that have to do with the elephant and the moose? Well, guess what? This is what I got into my little spirit. I am the moose, and my creator is the elephant. And so there it is. I drew a yoke, you know, the wooden thing that goes over them, and hinge them together. And I drew the yoke over the big elephant, and a little teeny yoke over the moose. But guess what? The moose was so small that the yoke couldn't even fit him. It just sort of hung above him because he couldn't scoop out a yoke so small. So here it is, the elephant is carrying all the weight. And every now and then, the moose just jump on top of his rope and run up with it and go sit down on top of the elephant head. Can you imagine? And because the elephant is pulling all the weight. So I said, that's what it means. That if you are yoked together with your creator, him carrying everything. So you can just chill and go along for the ride. but you have your responsibilities. That is why we do this session about pay as you enter. You can decide that you want to go along and chill for the ride. But guess what? I want to go over there and do something else. I want to do my own thing. The only way you can go along for the ride is if you decide you're going to patch into this thing, his thing, and the instructions that he has given you. So all you have to do is just follow instructions. You don't have to do anything, you know. You just have to follow the number one instruction. Love him with everything. And that brings me to something we spoke about the other day, the issue of love. You know, this is not a eros love or a filial love. It is an agape love. And you know that agape love has nothing to do with the feelings? Not a thing. It doesn't have anything to do with that fluttering in your tummy. I just love this, you know. I get those all the time. But guess what? After I put it on the side and said, anytime I get those, I have to add to it the agape love. Because that is the love that comes from up here. It is a decision that you take. That regardless of whether I have a flutter or I don't have a flutter, I have to continue doing, saying, and acting in the same way that my Creator acts when He thinks about me. So, whether I do something right or wrong, whether I lie, thief, or kill, guess what? His love for me is unconditional. It does not change. And guess what? Never stops. So, how on earth can I develop that for those people out there who stress me out every day? How on earth? Well, the answer is not on earth. It is in taking yourself and transporting yourself. You have time travel? Well, this is the ultimate time travel. You take yourself and you transfer yourself from where you are here. And you just go so, zoom, quicker than that, you know. Seated in heavenly places. Where I am up there as a substitute for the original number one son. I just sit down behind him. So when the Creator look across in my direction, he don't even see me. He only sees his one and only beloved son. And that son, he's always pleased with him because guess what? He obeys all the time. See another part of him here? Another manifestation? The Lion of the tribe of Judah. Brrr. And so, when I hide behind him, in his shadow, so he moves up, I just shift up. So he moves up, I just shift up. And that way, I can just repose behind him, with him, up there, and I don't have a stress because every time a situation comes up, I don't have to respond to it because guess what? The Creator have my back, right? I said it the other day when I did something stupid, really stupid, and I tell you, it must be the time when I took off on the car and came up the hill and just pressed the gas and the whole vehicle was airborne. Well, I drop back on the four wheels and I know that is when he has my back. When I do something dumb like that, he has your back. So we need to understand that that love is unconditional. It is everlasting. It is never ending. Consequently, that is what I have to do to try and always bring those emotions, those feelings into the place where it is going to mirror the way he loves me and the way I respond to his love. And even when I respond wrong, it no matter, he still has my back. So how would you like to really engage in a relationship like this? It's what I call the win-win relationship, where everything works out for my benefit. Once I come into obedience, it's about how on earth you going to keep up all of that? You have to know what is in it. And so this is how you make the adjustment in your emotions. You have got to speak this word into your spirit, into your ears, into your soul, into your everything. Because it is only this word that has the ability to change the way you feel, the way you respond, the way you act, and the decisions and the choices that you make. And therefore, it directs everything. Well, boy, over the years, I tried every system because guess what? I could not memorize one thing. After 15, 20, 25 years of going to church morning, noon, and night on a Sunday, and then several times during the week, all I could remember was John 3:16 and then Jeremiah 29:11. And then one day hit me, those are the only two scriptures you need to know because I have them pasted up on the mirror in my living room. And I'm going to tell you about me. One says, God's love gives. I always try to break things down to the simplest and shortest form. I can't remember the whole verse. You know, if I'm saying love, I can't remember. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Right? But how does that come down to me? It comes down one way. God's love gives. End of story. And then the other one says, I have not given you, no, I have a plan for you, not to hurt you or to harm you, to give you a hope and a future, and an expected end, to have success and prosperity. It's sort of wordy and long-winded. Guess what that one comes on to me as? God's plan succeeds. So for all my life, I only have to remember those two. One, God's love gives. And the other one is God's plan succeeds. End of story. And so I developed a curriculum for teaching school and teaching Sunday school and teaching anything and everything based on those two principles. God's love gives and God's plan succeeds. And you can use it to teach anything, everything. Aeronautics, beauticulture, computer, whatever you are interested in. If you remember those two principles, you can learn, teach, and use those two to move you forward. And that is how we are going to move Jamaica forward here on reggae2reggae.com. We are going to be bringing to you everything that is good about Jamaica. And that is because we have been given a plan. And that plan succeeds every time if you follow it. And so those two principles need to be the bedrock of your life. The life of your family, the life of your community, the life of your school, the life of your university, your organization, your nation. And that is, in fact, the only way we succeed in this whole world, this whole solar system, and the others by following those two principles. So you see, you don't have to learn the whole Jewish book of why and the thousands of different things. Every time you're going to do something, there are rules and regulations. You notice when you go on the internet, before you're supposed to press I accept, there are pages and pages and pages of make sure you know our privacy rules, make sure you have read so and so. And like most of us, what do? We just click I accept without reading it. And then guess what? Later on, when you find out the thief your email address and carry it all over the place, you realize you did not read the fine print. And guess what? When I understood that principle, I decided, guess what? I need to have the fine print under my belt. And so even though I operate with those two principles, and the number one is love God with everything, and then understand that everything is organized by God's love gives and carried out by God's plan succeeds, then you can't clear. But how do you get the fine print into your cranium? So when it is a situation comes up and you need to get some specifics as to how to handle it, you have to have that on your belt. Well, I devised a system that works. About 20 years ago, I decided I need to have the word. He sent his word to heal into my consciousness. And so I said, well, if you want in your consciousness, you just put in your consciousness, right? So I started to read every version of the Bible, a different version every year. And that was sort of good. But sometimes when I was faced with a situation, I couldn't come up with the answer immediately. And I said, well, you know something? I'm going to get one of these promise books that has everything organized on the categories and keep it in my bag. So that way I want to flip through and try and find the right thing. Okay, well, that for a few years, that's what I did. So when I was in the line in the bank, or when sometimes I would stop on the street light going home in the middle of the night, and I said, oh, I just remember so and so, what is the solution? And I would break up the car, wind up all the glasses, and then I would just flip on the street light, find it, the thing. I said, that's the answer. Gear, back in gear, driver. After a while, that was not workable. It wasn't practical. I said, I have to move on to something else. And voila, I got a perfect solution. I had been putting on Love FM for 20 years from when it just started, and keeping it running all the time so that when my clients came into residence, they would hear the word in music as well as the word spoken. I sort of graduated from that to having two MP3s, one put on in the living room and one in another room. And they played 24/7. Been doing so for years. So every time I pass by, I hear a little piece. Or sometimes it is going straight through the night, and it was a requirement for all my clients in residence, as well as anybody who lived in the household. And I would get people getting up next morning and say, I couldn't sleep, that thing was going all night. I said, well, you've got to control the volume, because there's one in every room, but you have to make sure it is coming in all the time. Because if it is, you spend more time listening to the garbage that comes on certain newscasts, then that is what is going to come out. Garbage in, garbage out. The word in, the word out. And so I decided that is what I wanted. And so I encourage you, we have these MP3s available, right? Just give us a call and we will make it available to you at a small cost. But guess what? It goes from Genesis to Revelation. And it's on two. One with the Old Testament and one with the New Testament. Or guess what? You can download it on your phone or on your iPad or on anything. But the key trick is this, not just having it, but having it going into your ear gates 24/7. 7. It works because now you prick me. The only thing that can come out is what went in. So I make sure that the maximum amount of time, conscious or unconscious or subconscious time. I have people who call me on Skype and keep saying, please turn down the background because they can't hear me. I'm so accustomed to hearing it now, I don't even hear it consciously, but it is going in subliminally. Why am I sharing all of this with you? I would like you to take out of this and empower yourselves the way I have been empowered by these things that work. And remember, we were talking about information and knowledge. Information is just information, but it does not become knowledge until you have activated it by using it. Remember, we perish for lack of knowledge. And if we don't have enough information, then we will not know how to utilize it to our benefit. So remember, today and tomorrow we are doing the same thing. Here as you enter. And we are winding down now for the last 5 minutes of our broadcast today, or on our streaming, whatever you call it. I'm not good on this, terminology, but anyway, you understand what I mean. Coming to you this way. We're talking about adjusting your emotions and relationships by adjusting our thoughts. And we just spoke about how we can adjust our thoughts. First of all, the process that the thoughts take us on, and how can we adjust those thoughts. We looked at the physical things that happen in our bodies as a result of these emotions. We haven't touched on relationships, but we have touched on emotions and explained exactly how I can adjust my emotions for them to work to my benefit and for my benefit. So, adjusting your thoughts, your words, your feelings, your decisions, and your actions. Bird can't fly on one wing if you are relaxing on top of the eagle. And remember, the place you want to be is you want to become who you were created to be, a part of the solution. And guess what? Stress has nothing to do with that. I am going to end by talking about the relationship a little more, just in 1 minute, between emotions and diseases. Every disease has a spiritual foundation and start. And in order to be able to trace it, we need to understand the place that the emotions take in transmitting things from the spirit realm into the physical realm. We were talking about breast cancer yesterday, coming home from this meeting in the car. And the 2 persons who was traveling they were asking about what is the cause of breast cancer. And I was explaining the relationship between a bitter relationship with a female, whether they were a relative or a non-relative, blood relative that is, and determine which breast you got the cancer in. And if you want to really reverse it and make sure it never comes back, you got to deal with that emotional relationship. More about that tomorrow when we talk about relationship. So the other, it was 3 ladies in the car, so they were the next thing that come up. So what is the relationship between the prostate cancer and the Jamaican men? I say, well, it's a same relationship. But that relationship don't have to do with a female relative. It has to do with their relationship to their sexuality. Because most Jamaican men think that their manhood is related to that area where the prostate is. And that is their reason for being. In fact, I mentioned one client that I had who was 70 odd and is not sexually active, but is insistent that I keep him on the amount of moringa seeds that will give him the ability to have an erection every day. And I'm thinking to myself, why does he need to have that? He's not sexually active. He does not intend to be sexually active, but he has to retain that ability to always have an erection because that is tied to his manhood. And that is where the prostate thing comes in. When you think, and I know several persons whose manhood is so tied to be able to have an erection and to be able to perform as a man, that it now imbalances those emotions that are dysfunctional, imbalances the chemicals that go to the prostate, and then you have dysfunctionality. So, more about that when we talk about relationships tomorrow. But this is exciting, and I'm telling you, life is just here to celebrate. So, whether you want to celebrate because you have control of your manhood, or you want to celebrate because you think that you are well endowed, um, remember that there are principles which you need to engage if you really want to celebrate every moment of your day. If you want to move from constantly having to ask for healing and go to the doctor, what have you, you can live in divine health if you are able to keep in balance the relationship between your spirit, your soul, and your body. Because the spiritual realm is where everything starts. And so tomorrow, we are going to be analyzing and looking at relationships from the point of view of being in health. And our background verses, I wish above all things that you prosper in the spiritual realm and be in health in the physical realm, even as your psychological health prospers. More on that tomorrow. So it's bye-bye for today from CelebrateLife.me on reggae2reggae.com. Remember where everything comes from. I am the angel with my little book giving you information out of the book. And here we have one of our power sources, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. You see the resemblance? You know, you start to look like those that you hung out with most of the time. Carl, am I still on video? Or am I off video? All right.